have no idea how to introduce this thing. I'm Tyler. I'm with Tackle the Fire. I want to do kind of a post-album podcast to talk about all the little fun details of each album. This is something I'm going to try to do with each album once it's released, and just make it so I can get it all out of my brain and just move on to the next thing. And it feels really, really good to be done with the sequel. I kind of did a bit of a podcast of sorts with the song QED, where I'm just like, this has been a decade in the making, and at this point QED is an old song too, so very much an album that just needed to be done with and out of my brain. And so this is kind of putting a bow on it with this little podcast here. But I think there's a lot of fun behind the scenes stuff that people don't know to ask about, and this is a musical project that basically no one really knows even exists, because I'm just now starting to record music I've written from over the years. But the title, the sequel, it was, a thought I had back in high school that I was thinking was funny, just the idea that the first album is the sequel. And I kind of kept it because it was like, this is kind of an homage to past me's music, and I kind of also justified it a bit with thinking like, this is the sequel of everything else, this is the next part of everything. But yeah, it was mostly just the thought of people going, oh, it's the sequel, it's the next one, so let's find that first one. And then, there is no first one, it is the first one. So just silly, but obviously I'm writing songs like One Ply and the Mosh Pit song. I have fun with this project. It's not just all serious all the time, but I don't know, music's just fun. But what else? So the meteorite falling into the ocean, that is a reference to, so I kind of started having the Flaming Meteorite be almost like a trademark of myself, because in 7th grade, my English teacher had us do a project on the Titanic, and I don't remember why we had like a cover of it that needed a picture, or if I just did that, but I had drawn a picture with the Titanic, all normal, but in the top right I had this flaming meteor coming in, and my teacher told me he almost failed me for the project for doing that, and I thought that was so hilarious that I started putting the flaming meteorite on absolutely everything, because, you gotta, if you're gonna be failed for doodling, it's kind of too funny to not put that on everything. So that's what that is. As for the songs, it's kind of a compilation of any of my older stuff that was recorded remotely well. And even then, I ended up going back and doing vocal redos and fixing lines I thought were too stupid, because I would definitely say my lyrics have improved over the years. But for the most part, I tried to leave it as intact as I could for being just an amalgamation, just this mix of what I've come up with over the years and years and years of writing. And for specific songs, a decent handful of them are actually just basically parodies of outdated lyrics. So like One Ply was a feelsy song that is just completely irrelevant at this point, and so it's just like, this is the perfect time to parody my own song without anyone realizing it and have a fun song about One Ply. And let's see, similar, Caffeine's basically a parody as well. It's just kind of an energetic song, so it just fits perfectly. For Nyoryao, that's basically Wrong Way, but reversed. Obviously, I can't just flip the letters, so I just flip the order of them, basically. And the idea of it is, if you're seeing Wrong Way in like a reflection, that means you're going the right way. And so it's a song that I actually really, really like. I still remember the feeling of, I was working this job with 80-hour weeks. I was driving in for another 12-hour day, and it was for a career path that I was realizing was absolutely garbage, and there was no future in it. So I was just going to this place where I had nothing I was trying to accomplish there anymore, and I just long days, and I was just in such a good mood. I just remember that vividly, and that's what the song's about. Just like this random, just I feel great, and I don't know why. So the song kind of captures the feeling, so it really resonates with me at least. But go figure, I'm the one that wrote it. So what else we have? EQ in 42 was a song that I pretty much only kept in there because it was recorded decently well. So it was just like, why not share it since it's ready to go? It's just another thing for people to listen to. It's about, so 42 being the answer to life, the universe, and everything from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but EQ comes from, I was struggling to record music, and I don't remember exactly what was going on with the software, but I was calling support and saying like, okay, what do I need to do to get this to work correctly, and how could I improve the sound? And honestly, this conversation was forever ago, so I don't really remember the ins and outs of it, but basically, to absolutely every question, the answer is always EQ. Just, how do I make things sound better? EQ. What happens if EQ? And so I just thought it was funny that that was just the answer to everything. So EQ in 42. And it's just like I don't know, like a brain vomit of random lifey thoughts, I guess. And so even though this is kind of like, I had taken just way too long making this album happen, so all the songs are kind of scattered all over the place. Some of them are also making an appearance in other albums, like Season's Greetings, one I've already started, and I've got, like, for instance, Lack Thereof was a song I had written in this time frame, just absolutely forever ago, and I thought it was good, and it fit as a Singles Awareness Day song, you know, that kind of thing, and some other, basically, parodies of my own songs will appear there. I've got one for Father's Day in the works that I think will be pretty fun, and for the next album, probably the next album. Spoilers, it's going to be called Fat Finger, but it's PHAT. I kind of super love it. Anyway, so there are a couple songs in there as well that are older songs, but kind of updated to be better, and some newer-ish songs too. It's kind of a mix. And I'll do a post-album podcast for that one as well, but I do want to say that there are a decent handful of synth songs in the Fat Finger album, and that's not the direction of the music. This is rock, alternative rock, pop punk, something in that world. I don't really know. You can tell me how to classify it, but we're not moving away from that. It's just, those are the songs that I had ready that fit that. It's not really a theme album, but it is. It'll make sense when you hear it, but they're definitely a decent handful of songs that are synthy, and it's because I was working, so my wife has a really good voice, she can sing really well, and so it was like, oh perfect, we'll just make music together and it'll be so fun, it'll be a hobby we can share, and you know, just a cute fun project. But I was planning for it to be a separate project, so I'd have my rock music and I'd have this like synthy stuff that was just easier to record, right? Because it's just vocals, and I was heavily struggling to record anything that sounded remotely close to good. It took me forever to figure out how to record guitars in a way that sounded like guitars, so it just was a lot easier. And eventually I realized that she's terrified of the microphone and doesn't enjoy it. She was just being sweet because she's a wonderful human. So I'm moving some of the songs that I feel like fit the album to this project, basically. So don't panic. Anyway, that'll get its own podcast down the line. The other possibility for an album that would be coming out sooner than later, it's either going to never happen or it'll be the next album, or you know, something soon. Test album, please ignore. So the idea being, I'm never gonna just release garbage. That's why release garbage? No one's gonna be interested in crappy music. I'm not gonna be interested in creating anything bad, right? But basically, it would be experimental. I would be self-teaching the keyboard, and I'm trying to learn drums and that kind of thing, and it'd be kind of experimenting with different styles, and I would be writing So I'll get to this shortly, but I'll get to it now. Why not? So I have an album that is, I feel like, incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Very, very strong album. And I actually really heavily debated whether to release the sequel at all, because I could just only release this, just work only on this one album, and that'll just be Tackle the Fire, this one album of just incredible music. And I decided, if this were me trying to listen to some other group, I would want all the music. I would want more music's better, especially with this genre. I feel like there's a limited subset of artists I really enjoy, and so anyone that does like my style, does like my music, you'd want to have the music rather than just not having it, even if it means a longer time till the good album comes out. I need to figure out the title for it, but anyway. So the relevance being, I've moved some of the songs off of this good album, and I want it to be, a decent, at least 10 songs, and I don't know the count right now, but it's not 10. And so I want to be going back to writing and all that. So part of why it's test album Please Ignore being kind of an actual test album is I'm going to be shooting for writing songs that fit on this album. And so if I'm yoinking the best songs, then it does feel like that's the kind of album that deserves that name. I thought that name was funny, but I realized people actually will ignore it because you're telling them to. So it should be worth listening to and good music. But if I'm not putting my best foot forward with it, then it fits. Anyway, since I'm just kind of talking about album plans in general, the other one you can look forward to is one I've written for my kiddos, basically. And it's not like kids songs, it's for my kids, inspired by them and all that. One of the songs that I think is strong, it's a feelsy song that I'll include. I'm not a very feelsy person, so those kind of songs are kind of far and few between. Is that the saying? Whatever. You know what I mean. Few and far between. There we go. That one's gonna be called Angry Zombie Robot, inspired by my toddler asking me to be an angry zombie robot. So I actually think that one has some pretty fun songs on it. It's very different. I feel like I do try to make each song new and interesting and unique, and so I'm not like overly trying to make it sound one way or another, but I think the style of that album will be pretty different, and it actually probably will have synth too, so I guess we aren't completely ditching the synth world. But going back to the sequel, Interminable Like Pringles, it's from the old commercial, once you pop the fun don't stop, and it's like I'm unstoppable, just like these Pringles that don't stop once you pop. So that's where the name came from. But that one is, in my world, my most disappointing song. And I still included it because it does overall sound decent. But that was the first song that in my mind was incredible. And it was just like a really good, catchy song. It was one of my first songs that I felt really good about, that I just thought was this strong, catchy song. And the way it recorded is not even close to how I heard it in my mind. So that's why I find that one disappointing, because I feel like that one could have been a real winner and it turned out fine. Like, it could still be a good song. I might just be over-hating on it because there's such a discrepancy with how it is in my brain versus how it came out, but not a bad song by any stretch. Music videos. So obviously this is just a project that I make because I enjoy it. I like creating everything. I just like making things. I like being creative, and I really enjoy making music. And so it makes sense that I would be trying to take a stab at making fun music videos without really having any resources to do so. So the Padded Walls video was kind of an opportunistic music video where I am not really willing to spend much money on things like that. That being going somewhere incredibly cool and expensive, but we were going to this place for a wedding, and so it was like, I have this song I'd written about, the main lyrics being, here because it's a fantasy, but it's not mine. And so we've got like this picturesque fantasy environment, and I was just thinking, you know what? This is it. This is perfect. And so kind of my idea for the video was these smooth transitions that go from one scene to the next really cleanly and keeps it moving, and I'm just appearing in all these places. And I think some of that comes across as like an intentional, this is what the video is, but I think for the most part it was just an interesting setting that fit the song, and trying to do these smooth transitions just kind of made the video feel good instead of that feeling like the vibe. So I don't know, I was happy with how it turned out. And it was kind of funny because in a way, I mean, so I was there, I recorded everything I could think of that I thought made sense for it, but then I got home and was cutting it together, and it's like, this is all there is. You can't just fly back to once in a lifetime all-inclusive just to get another 20-second clip to fill in the blanks. So kind of creatively making it work, and that's what inspired the clip of where I'm just chilling watching the beach on the computers. I needed a little bit more time, but didn't want to like detract from the video. I wanted it to stay consistently good and interesting. And I always feel like there's a creative solution to any problem ever. So that's where that came from. One Ply, I had a similar thing with opportunistic music video making. We don't just have cash to roll around in. That's not how life works. You don't just have this big stack of bills, but we just sold a car. And so that's actual real money before it got deposited into the bank. So it was kind of perfect. And it was just kind of combining a few fun ideas I had where, if the point of One Ply is to save money on toilet paper, then should be rolling in money. So obvious connection there, at least in my mind, for making it rain with money, and just the goofy, I'm wealthy now, I have this One Ply kind of clips. And other than that, I just kind of knew I wanted to play a cardboard guitar in the rain, and I wanted to burn it. I wanted to have a fire in the rain and a cardboard guitar. And so that's what I did. And obviously I did it without the rain as well, and that kind of served as practice or rehearsal so that when it rained, we knew what we were doing. I had my wife help me out by filming. And so as soon as the rain started, we got out there and did the real one, and that's definitely a one take because I wanted to burn the guitar at the end. So yeah, anyway, I thought that was a fun one. Just a lot of things just coming together at the same time. Just the money, I mean, it rains all the time here, so that's not too wild that, oh, hey, it rained where it rains all the time. But I don't know, just came together. I liked it. And Damen, that song is about an old girlfriend I had a long time ago at this point. And actually, I should probably talk about this. We dated at a time where I was writing a lot of songs. And so there were some songs before we met, songs like Prove Me Wrong, which you'll hear on Season's Greetings. And it's about like trying to find the person to date. And since I was writing so much, there were songs where it was like we had just gotten together, and these happy songs, and then there's drama songs, and then breakup songs at the end, and it just created this really cool theme album But since I didn't record that, it just kind of can't happen at this point, because I'm not going to finish songs that are positive about someone that we broke up for a reason. And so it's just kind of unlucky, because it would have been a really good theme album, but instead it's just kind of in pieces. But anyway, Die Damen is the dames in German, which it sounds like Die Demon. And so it was just like a song about girls, but it works with the maybe hot as hell because she's from their line and that kind of thing. So that was at the middle of that theme album where it was just like this unhealthy relationship. And obviously I Hate Knowing What You Would Do to Me in Time, I finished the song after we broke up, so it's just like I knew how she was fairly toxic. And so anyway, that's what that song's about. So I made it with Gen 2. It's a fancy AI video creation tool. And honestly, it didn't work amazingly, but I'm happy with the result. I got my story I was trying to convey in there, but that's what it is. It's not like I went in and just hand animated everything. I just generated clips 100 million times and stitched them together in a way that makes a story and looks nice. So that's what that is, and that's what the song's about. So what else? I guess that's plenty for this podcast. I guess since I teased a bunch of other albums, I'll say you'll know the good album because it's going to start with a song called Chronic Aspiration. So look forward to that one eventually, hopefully. But as far as this one goes, hopefully you did enjoy the sequel. I wouldn't say me putting my best foot forward, but I do think it was worth releasing. It's got some fun stuff. I like songs like Padded Walls. I think it's good. So I'll be making a point to continue recording and getting stuff out there, and I'll be hopefully making and releasing a music video for what'll be the first song on Fat Finger, Hello World. It has to be Hello World. And yeah, so bunch of stuff to look forward to. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know. Catch you on the next one.